Hi beauties, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a foundation review of the new Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. If you'd like to find out my first impressions of this foundation, then just keep watching. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. And if you're new to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications. That way you won't miss any of my uploads. So I posted a poll on my community tab about 4 foundations that I have been wanting to try out. I asked you guys which one you wanted me to review first, and 42% of you, as of this morning, said that you wanted me to try out the Makeup Forever foundation first. So I'm going to try out the Makeup Forever foundation today, and I may go back and try out some of the others that I asked you about in future videos. Even though I was asking you all about trying out this foundation, all along I was thinking that this was an additional foundation, like it was a new foundation. It never dawned on me that it was a reformulation of one of my holy grail foundations from Makeup Forever. This is the original Makeup Forever Ultra HD. You guys are very familiar with this one. I've talked about it many times here on my channel. I've told you all that even though a lot of people don't talk about this foundation anymore, it always lands in the best-selling foundations section on Sephora's website. It's one of the top ones that comes up whenever you search best-selling foundations. So even though it's not being hyped up here on YouTube anymore, a lot of people were still purchasing this foundation, including myself. Is probably the one that I purchased the most of any foundation. Last night was when I figured out that this was no longer being sold and that this new foundation replaced it. I know. I should have picked up on it sooner. I'm very happy that you all voted for me to try this one first, because I really want to know, is it going to replace my holy grail Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation? Because I don't have a backup of this. This is the last one that I'm working on right now. So let's go ahead and get started with the review. This foundation comes in 40 shades. I have mine in the shade 3Y52, and this was previously Y445 Amber. So that's the shade that I picked up. Just to let you guys know, when I swatched it in store, I also felt like that I could get the 3Y54 shade as well. That one is more neutral. This one is warm. I tend to actually wear neutral foundations, but when I tried out the original Ultra HD many years ago, this one just looked better on me, and I've stuck with that shade forever. So I really enjoyed that shade the best. So we'll see if I like this one just as much. On Sephora's website, they say that it is an undetectable liquid foundation that blurs and covers imperfections for up to 24 hours, powered by a micro skin system that syncs with the skin for true to skin finish. It is a medium coverage foundation with a natural finish, and it is a liquid foundation. And it has all sorts of ingredients like micro skin system, which follows skin movement, provides immediate high correction and smooth skin. Vegetable origin glycerol, and a word I can't pronounce. It has lots of ingredients in here listed, as well as clinical results that let you guys know what people have said about the foundation as far as how it wears. They also claim that this is a new and improved version of the Ultra HD. So let's see. This bottle is 1.01 fluid ounces, so basically a standard ounce. The same amount was in the original Ultra HD. So these shades are supposed to be the same, but as you can tell, it looks much lighter in this bottle than in this bottle. I am combination skin. I get oily in my T-zone. I'm pretty normal here on my cheeks. And sometimes, depending on the season, I may have dryness under my eye. But I definitely get very oily in my T-zone. So I'm gonna shake this up because it makes sense. So let's go in with some Fix Plus. Start off with that. And it's pretty late in the day. I don't think I'm gonna get like a full 8 hours in for this wear test, but I will keep this on as long as I can, because right now it's already 3:15. I'm just starting a little late today. But I'm going to wear it for several hours, and I have a lot of errands to run right now, so you'll get a little bit of a wear test out of this. I'm going to stick with my primers that I know work really well with my skin. This is the Bobbi Brown Enriched Face Base, and it is very good for oily skin, even though it looks like a moisturizer. It's really good if you have oily skin. Trust me, you apply this and suddenly your makeup just lasts longer. And you're like, what did I put on my face? Oh, this is it. This is going to give your foundation longevity. It's so good. This is one of the products that's going on right now during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty. The latter part, it might be the last day, I think this product is gonna be on sale, and it may even be the large one. That means you'll be able to get it for half off. Now I'm gonna go in with my Tarte Smoothing Primer, just right near my pores, a little bit on my forehead. I must be out of sorts right now. I didn't know that this foundation replaced my Ultra HD foundation. I didn't know that we were springing forward and the time was changing today. So I've lost an hour. I do want to see how close the shades are. This is the original Ultra HD. That's what this one is. Maybe it's something about this kind of plastic bottle that makes it look darker in the bottle. This one is actually glass, and the cap is cute. It's different. This is the new formula. It is definitely warmer. See the difference here? This is warmer than my original shade. Let's hope this works. Let's hope this works, because I had a neutral shade picked out, but I wanted the same shade, and I knew it might be different, but I wanted the same shade as before, especially so that I could show you guys. So let's hope that this will work out. I always can make it work, but I definitely think this one looks more neutral, even though I think it was a warm shade to begin with. This one looks darker in the bottle than this one does, but this is actually warmer and looks darker than this one. It's weird. It looks like it's the reverse of how it looks in the bottle. That's why you can't ever judge anything by how it looks in the bottle. So let's wipe this off, and let's add a little bit more primer right there. Make sure we're good and primed. Also, guys, I have more mature skin. I am 48 years old, soon to be 49. Happy to be alive. I'm eating grapes, guys. I'm so sorry. Let's start off with a sponge. I've added 1 pump of the new foundation to my hand here, and we'll put a sponge application on this side. And that was 1 pump. I think that was a baby pump though. Didn't seem like a large amount. And this is a beauty blender. This is 1 pump. It definitely looks like skin, but I'm not seeing a lot of coverage with that 1 pump, so I know I'm gonna need more. Because guys, you probably are sitting here like, did she put anything on? Because I'm thinking the same thing. I'm just gonna stop with 1 pump on this side, and then I'll do 1 pump with the brush on the other side, and then we'll kind of add on if we need to. So this is 1 pump here. This looks like a bigger pump, but let's see. And this is my Shiseido face polishing, I think is the name of it, brush that I've like been loving lately. Watch how fast this blends out with this brush, y'all. Pretty much done, and very little product left on the brush. It's just really good at blending out foundation. So now I have 2 pumps on my face, and it definitely looks like skin. And actually, guys, the match is good. What do y'all think? Even though it kind of looked more orange than this one, I actually like this match. It's not bad. I see a little bit more radiance and glow on this side that I use the sponge. Then on this side, this looks a little more matte, and you can use either tool, whichever your preference is. One thing I'll say, guys, the original HG foundation had a very chemical smell, quite unusual. It had like more of a chemical smell. I don't think it stayed on my skin very long, but you did smell something very chemical. This one doesn't have that at all. It seems like it has a little bit of a fragrance. I'm gonna go ahead and pump out another pump because I know I need at least another one. But it's a nice fragrance and it's not heavy. It's very, very faint. So if you're like sensitive to fragrance, I don't smell that much fragrance. So I'm gonna use a beauty blender to go back in with a little bit more and just sort of blend all over. I tend to like a little more on my forehead because I feel like it's a little darker right here. So I like a little more on my forehead. A little hyperpigmentation down here. I'm sorry if you hear my bracelets jingling. It does seem to set down pretty quickly too. Like not too fast, but I also may be smelling the soap. Maybe I'm smelling soap, y'all. It might not have fragrance. I can't tell if I'm smelling a little bit of fragrance from this or if I'm smelling a little bit of soap from like my sponge where I wash the sponge. So if you have this foundation, please let me know if you smell fragrance or not, but it seems like it's very, very faint if it is there. I do think it is buildable. Like I don't feel like it's looking cakey at this point. Most everything that I'd like to be covered is, except a little bit of hyperpigmentation down here. I'm satisfied with the coverage that I'm seeing, but I do want to see if I can cover that. So let's go in with like a little dot, not even a full pump. And let's just see if we can build up enough coverage, lightly applying it over the areas where I have hyperpigmentation on my chin. We're gonna stop there, even though it still seems like more like medium, definitely medium coverage, which is what it claims to be anyway. But this looks pretty good. I can see really good coverage here. I like it. It feels a little tacky still. Still feels a little tacky to the touch. I'm going to use a combination of two concealers here. I'm going to use Kosas, which I like a little, but it's not my favorite. It is definitely a more emollient concealer, so people who are very dry, very, very dry would really like this. I bought it, so I do want to use it. And honestly, guys, this cap isn't the greatest either because there's a little crack in the cap. I do want to use it because I bought it, but I do really like Pat McGrath. So I'm going to apply this with it because it has a little more staying power. And I've just been mixing these together lately, mainly because I want to use the Kosas because I purchased it and it doesn't stay by itself very well. It needs a little help. The Kosas is in the shade 07. If you are a person who has drier under eyes, you'll love that concealer. And the Pat McGrath is in M17. It's like the Kosas is really nice. But as far as long wearing, sometimes it, like when I wear a face mask with it, it kind of, I can see where it rubs it off. So I like to wear something else with it to make it last. So I'm going to use the Huda Banana Bread Powder to set everything. And starting off, let me set my concealer area first. And I'm just going to put this over the eye because I'll just use the concealer as my eyeshadow base. I'm kind of putting a little more right under here where I get oily. I'm gonna take this Chikuhodo brush, ignore my dogs, and we're gonna just place the powder, and I'll need a little more. I like the mesh top for this, but then sometimes it makes me have to go into the powder more than I want. I want powder. Give me powder. So far so good, and it feels very, very lightweight right now. So I'm going to use my Benefit Precisely My Brow in 4.5 to sculpt my brows, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to dust this off and set the brows. This looks good, very skin-like, but you can see that I've applied powder, so once my natural oils kind of come through, I'm sure it's going to look more like skin, or once I apply my setting spray. So I'm going to complete the rest of my look off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so I'm back. I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what I have on my face, just in case you're curious, and I'll also have everything linked down below. So where we left off, I was getting ready to apply my eyeshadow. I decided to apply this Tom Ford Quad. This one is De La Creme, and I just haven't used it in a while and wanted to try that out again. I also have on the House of Lashes Serene Lashes. I have on my Laura Geller retractable eyeliner. This was not planned, but I ended up using my Makeup Forever blush, sculpt, and highlighter. I only have on a little bit of the sculpt, just a little bit. I do have on this blush and this highlighter. I will link them all below so that you'll know which ones they are. I didn't put on a lot of highlighter, but I did want to apply some. For bronzer, I have on my Cover FX Suntan Bronze, but I only applied the matte side. This adds a little bit of glow, and I thought that would be too much if we're trying to see how this foundation is going to wear. For lips, I have on my NARS, and this is American Woman. It was a deluxe sample that I've really been digging lately. It's like a mauve kind of color. It's a liquid lip, but it's not super drying. So I like to apply this with my Charlotte Tilbury Foxy Brown lip liner. I will top it with a creamy lipstick. Today, the creamy lipstick of choice is Sable Smoke by Tom Ford. And they discontinued it for a little while, but I have heard it's back. So I applied a little bit of Sable Smoke on top of that, and then I used my Dare to Bear lip gloss by Pat McGrath. And then I finally applied the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray to set everything in place. Mascara, I have on the Better Than Sex mascara with my lashes, and I put it on my bottom lashes as well. My very, very teeny tiny bottom lashes. So that's the rundown of what's on my face. I will link everything down below. So let's just talk a little bit about what it's looking like at this point, and then I'm gonna go on about my day. Once I completed the makeup look, I was like, oh yeah, this is Makeup Forever. This is it. We'll see once I continue the wear test today, but it's definitely looking great. It looks very skin-like. Of course, you know, when you put on concealer, it's sort of hard to tell if it's the concealer or this that's sort of smoothing everything, but I just think my pores look very, very good. And I did take the foundation in this area as well, but my pores look really small. What I'm seeing over here on my monitor is definitely giving me that HD vibe that the previous one used to give me. With the original formula, I always felt like I looked better on video as well as in still photographs, and I definitely feel the same way today. It feels like there's nothing on my face, but it also feels like I could go through a long day. Like, it does also feel long wearing. Like, it doesn't feel like slippy. It feels like it's pretty set in place, and I'm good to go. I don't know whether it's budge proof or not, but it just looks really amazing right now. Like, with first application, it looks really amazing. And I actually really like the shade match. So far, so good, guys. So far, so good. It played nicely with all of the other products that I applied on top. Had no issues with that as well. So before I go on with my day, what little bit I have left of it, I'm going to zoom in for you guys to take a closer look at this foundation. It's very age defying. Because it looks really good in HD, to me it just really, like I said, smooths over my pores. I put on primer with this, but it's very smoothing and is not settling in my fine lines. I do have like a little wrinkle here, but I don't know that the foundation is settling. I can just see the wrinkle. But as far as like how it is wearing on my more mature skin, I am very pleased with how it looks. And that's always great. So I'm very, very happy with this. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm like, oh my gosh. I love my complexion today. Even my concealer looks pretty good. I thought my concealer combo was working out really nicely. My Kosas and my Pat McGrath, I thought that they looked good, but now that I've actually applied them on camera, I'm pretty happy with my little combo. So I'm going to go on with my day. I have a few errands to run, and I'll check in with you guys at some point during the day, and I'm going to leave it alone and not touch up, and let's see what it does. And remember, I have an oily T-zone, and you guys know what I tend to look like at the end of these foundation reviews, so we'll see if this holds up for the next several hours. It's about 4:36 now. Had it on now for about an hour, I guess. I'll try to wear this as long as I can tonight, but I will check back in with you guys a little bit later so that you can see how it's wearing. I'm in the car. This is indirect sunlight, I guess, and I've not had this on very long. I just hopped in the car to go run some errands, but I just thought I would let you all see what the foundation is looking like in the car and in the sunlight a little bit. I mean, it's looking pretty good. Of course, I am, as I mentioned earlier, 48 years old. I have more textured skin. I have combo skin, so I'm just not going to have perfect looking skin, but it looks really good with my skin type, I think. So I'll be checking in with you guys a little bit later. All right, guys, it's about 5:35. I'm on my back porch. My daughter's been taking some photos for me, and I just did a little wardrobe change into another outfit, but I had this hat on with the other outfit. I'm taking photographs for Nap Loungewear, and I will hopefully film a dedicated review of these items. I'm waiting on one more item to arrive. But anyway, I wore this hat that my daughter gave me, and I just took it off and noticed that there was very little transfer. There's a little bit, but very little transfer of the makeup. And I also noticed that I'm not seeing like a lot of marks or anything on my big old forehead. I'm not seeing marks where the hat left marks and indentions. And I also had my readers on a little bit earlier, and it didn't indent on my nose. So that is really, really good, guys, for a foundation not to kind of be sliding off my face at this point. It definitely is long wear and has sort of meshed with my skin. So it's just a couple of hours later, and this is how it's looking. I will check in with you guys a little bit later. It's 9:42, so I think based on when I started, I've had this on for 6 to 6.5 hours. It's getting a little late, so I want to kind of wrap this up so that I can start getting ready for bed. As you can tell, I am a little bit glowy in my T-zone, and I can't 100% say that it's just about the foundation, because of course I applied concealer. I applied this one that I know is a little bit more emollient, but I also used my Pat McGrath. But I am a little bit luminous in my T-zone. If you've been with me for a while and you've seen me do some other foundation reviews, oftentimes I am kind of shiny in my T-zone area, but I'm also more shiny than this typically, although I haven't had it on as long as I normally wear it either. So this is normal as far as how my skin typically reacts if I don't touch up at all and I just wear the foundation and I never touch up. But typically, because I get oily in my T-zone, I'm going to touch up during the day, so it would not normally get like this. Before I blot, I do just want to point out that even though it is shiny, it hasn't broken apart on my face. The foundation is still together. So I can tell that if I just blot or apply powder, that it will refresh. So today I have some facial tissues. I don't have my blotting papers, but I have the facial tissue. So let's blot. And ooh, this is better because even though like you guys can't see, but it is not that oily. There's not that much foundation transferring onto the tissue either. So a lot of the foundation is staying on my face. Let me go ahead and fix these. I've been wearing my glasses a lot. At first it wasn't leaving the little marks there, but as I continued to wear them, it did leave a couple of marks. Okay. And I did refresh my lipstick. And some of this is like my lipstick came off. There's a little bit of makeup here, but nothing like it typically does. Nothing like normal, because normally it's a lot coming off of my face. So this is just with tissue blotting. I think this looks amazing. I think this looks amazing. So let's apply a little bit of powder. Going back in with my Huda powder here. I'm gonna use my Wayne Goss, the airbrush brush, because I honestly don't think I need that much powder. Let's go over the brows a little bit too. While I'm at it, let's just carve out these cheeks a little bit. To make sure I don't look too powdery, I'm just gonna buff that in a little bit where I've placed it. And I touched up and now I'm like, do I look like I have too much powder on? I feel like I absorbed too many oils. I've never done that before. Let's take a little bit of Fix Plus. That's the first time I've ever touched up after a full day of wear, because even though it's been only 6.5 hours, I have been busy during that time. I have run errands, I've been outside, I've been doing things in the house. I wasn't just sitting around, I was doing things. And that's the first time that I have ever powdered after wearing my foundation all day and then felt like I needed to kind of spray my Fix Plus to take down the powder. I'm shook. I think I forgot to tell you guys the price of this too. This retails for $43. I think that's a very, very reasonable price. $43 I think is a typical price for a foundation that is sort of high end. I'm smiling and I can't get my words together because I am shook. Do you hear me? Shook by this foundation. I am absolutely thrilled with the reformulation. I loved this one a lot. I mean, it was my baby. And I can't wait to apply this again, then maybe the next day wear this one so that I can have a better idea of the differences. What I think I'm noticing here, the new formulation has that HD vibe just like before. It looks great in pictures and great on video. This one did as well. The main difference seems to be the skin-like finish, where this one looked like skin as well, but this really seems to mesh with the skin very, very well. And the long wear, like this definitely seemed to set quickly and felt very skin-like on my face. It seemed like it was not going to budge. So I think that this is a little bit more budge proof than the original. It seems to blur my pores a lot better. It matched me well. Like even though this shade is very different than my original, it matched me very well. I love the bottle, and this one is glass, and this was like a very, very nice plastic. I think that this was sort of good too, because it's always nice if it's a plastic bottle because it's less likely to break and it just looks different. This original one gave you the feeling of glass even though it wasn't. So I never had a problem with that package either. Adding the little nude cap and changing the bottle slightly was a good idea. I have absolutely no complaints about this foundation. Let me just really look here. I don't think it really settled, and I, have more mature skin. I don't really see settling in my fine lines. My forehead looks good up here. I think it looks great. This is getting ready to be my new go-to foundation to wear to work, and whenever I think that I'm going to have my foundation on for a long time, this is going to be my new baby. I could go several more hours with this foundation on the way that it looks right now. Normally, even after I touch up and I'm at this stage in my filming, I'm ready to like take it off, wash my face. Even if I'm able to revive it, it's usually like time for my expired makeup to come off of my face. For me, and you guys tell me if you kind of agree, if I don't have on any makeup, my texture doesn't stand out as much. Of course, my skin doesn't look as beautiful and put together if it's just my bare skin, but you don't really see the texture as much because there's nothing sitting on top of it. So when you apply foundations, some may accent that texture. This one really seems to have smoothed the texture. This definitely looks like skin as it claims because it doesn't accent texture on your face. My pores look very smooth, and I know that I have on concealer, but right here, especially on this side, it just looks super smooth. My imperfections seem to be less visible. So let me zoom in so that you guys can take a closer look. So here we go. This is after 6.5 hours. I am just shook. I have more mature skin and this looks really, really good. I just think it's so pretty. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna zoom back out. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap everything up. I could go on and on and on about this foundation. I am so happy that you guys voted for this one in the poll. This is amazing foundation. Just like the original, it will probably make its way to Holy Grail status. It has made an excellent first impression on me. I really, really love it. I'm not saying that you have to go out and purchase this foundation, but if you were looking at the foundation and you just wanted to know if it's any good, I'm here to tell you it is very, very good. I will continue to wear this foundation probably every day. And if I have any updates, I will leave them down in the description box, but I'm sure that my first impression is definitely spot on. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will respond. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button before you leave. So I'll be seeing you guys again very soon in my next video. So until the next time we meet again, this is Savvy signing out.